Unlike crying Ryan Clark, who deserved to lose his job at ESPN, I know some people like Stephen A. Smith are upset with this decision. They don't understand how a talented NFL analyst could be fired, while a pretend analyst like Mina Kimes gets to keep a job that she's not qualified to do. This is so sad. How could ESPN fire Ryan Clark? This man is a genius. He's so sincere. He's so passionate. No one preaches the good word more passionately than the ordained Ryan Clark. Yeah, you see, that's the problem. No one is tuning into ESPN to see crying Ryan Clark shed make-believe tears over make-believe racism. Ryan Clark was brilliant in his role as an NFL analyst. You can make the case that Ryan Clark was the best analyst at the network, which isn't saying much since, this is the same network that considers Monica McDougal to be an NBA analyst. And Mo McDougal wasn't skilled enough to make a roster in the WNBA dump. Ryan Clark is the classic case of your talent not being enough to outweigh the problems that you consistently cause. While I have zero sympathy for crying Ryan Clark being fired and losing his $2 million a year job at ESPN, I do feel bad for some of the others that lost their jobs at the network. David Lloyd, one of the longest tenured anchors on SportsCenter. He started with ESPN back in 1997 as an anchor on ESPN News. You guys remember ESPN News? Stephania Bell had been with ESPN since 2008. Carl Ravitch, absolute legend. To my knowledge, Carl Ravitch was the final face of the golden era at ESPN. This dude was the voice of my childhood. Carl Ravitch was the longtime host of Baseball Tonight and eventually Sunday Night Baseball. Another surprising decision was the firing of Cam Newton. My inside sources are telling me that one of the reasons Cam Newton was fired is because he refused to follow ESPN's dress code. ESPN wants their on-air talent to dress like professionals. Meanwhile, Cam Newton dresses like a non-binary fashion model. Obviously, Cam Newton, he's going to be fine. He has his own platform. Cam Newton does an excellent job with his show here on YouTube. But there is something I've noticed with these layoffs at ESPN. This could change by the time this video or after this video is published. Seems like every hour or so someone else at ESPN is losing their job. But as of 4 o'clock Central Tuesday afternoon, ESPN seems to be sending a very subtle message with these layoffs. And if Uncle Casey is comprehending this message correctly, ESPN could be making a major mistake. But before we get to that, let's get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at American Attitude. Unsurprisingly, doofus Democrats tried to make July 4th intentionally divisive this year. It's abundantly clear at this point that the party of the donkey, they don't like our country. But you can show your love and support for our country and our great military with patriotic gear from American Attitude. American Attitude is more than a clothing brand. It is a movement for people who love faith, freedom, and a good punchline. They've got plenty of hats and t-shirts that celebrate 250 years of American freedom, but my personal favorite, Gotta be the infidel t-shirts and hoodies where you are displaying your pride at being labeled as an infidel. They've also got patriotic hoodies and tumblers to keep the beverage of your choice iced down during the summer. American Attitude strives to bring patriotic Americans together through humor and unapologetic American grit. So click the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL10, BTL10. Receive 10% off your first purchase with American Attitude. After decades of operating with impunity, after decades of being supported by tens of millions of cable and satellite subscribers who were essentially forced to pay for ESPN while having no interest in actually watching the network, over the last decade or so, as cable and satellite has declined and billions of dollars in revenue has been lost, ESPN has went through several rounds of layoffs. May of 2013, 400 people lost their jobs. October of 2015, ESPN let go of another 350. April of 2017, another 100. November of 2017, 150. November of 2020, once ESPN had fully embraced the woke wiener, ratings were at their lowest point in years. 300 people were fired and an additional 200 open positions were eliminated. June of 2023. 20 on-air stars were released. Fall of 2024, Bob Griffin the Trace, better known as RG3, Sam Ponder, Zach Lowe, they all lost their jobs at ESPN. Several months ago, 30 behind-the-scenes staffers were released. And now, ESPN is in the midst of releasing more, mostly on-air talent. But I noticed a little bit of a trend with this most recent round of layoffs. A lot of people associated with the NFL lost their jobs, which makes sense with ESPN merging with the NFL network. Coverage of Major League Baseball. Baseball coverage has been affected by the layoffs. People who covered the UFC in the world of make-believe wrestling, some of them have lost their jobs. But it's strange. As of the recording of this video, I have yet to see one person responsible for covering the pretend basketball in the WNBA affected by these layoffs at ESPN. I wonder why. It's abundantly clear at this point. ESPN is dedicating this summer and future summers to pretend basketball. Last summer, after a decades-long successful partnership with Major League Baseball, ESPN relinquished the rights to Sunday Night Baseball to make room for Women's Sports Sundays. Uncle KC, what the hell is Women's Sports Sundays? Women's Sports Sundays is something that absolutely no one asked for. For 10 consecutive weeks in the summer, ESPN is dedicating Sunday afternoons and Sunday nights in prime time to the unexciting lack of action in the WNBA dump. According to ESPN, they have a star-studded lineup covering the WNBA. Listen to some of these stars, some of these household names. Beth Mowins, Tiffany Green, Christine Williamson. Who, and who? You let go of Sunday Night Baseball to feature a collection of unknowns covering a league of unknowns? From a business perspective, a financial perspective, at least temporarily, I understand why ESPN is going all in on pretend basketball. The programming is free since the NBA forced their broadcast partners to accept the WNBA if they wanted the NBA. But from a ratings perspective, from an exposure perspective, Women's Sports Sunday has been a huge, embarrassing failure. I mean, what would you rather watch as a viewer? Would you rather watch Red Sox Yankees, Cubs Cardinals, or the New York Lesbians and LA Sparkles, the Atlanta Dreamers and the Chicago Bravado? I know, for now anyway, I know the WNBA is more mainstream than Major League Baseball. Baseball is more of a regional sport, while the WNBA is a make believe sport. But the WNBA is mainstream for reasons that are not sustainable. No one takes this league seriously because it's nothing but manufactured drama. It's grown women whining and complaining. Why are fans so mean to us? We need to be protected from criticism, or as we prefer to call it, hate speech. Because of their temporary marriage with the WNBA, ESPN can't cover the league objectively, which means their WNBA coverage consists of paid propagandists who are lying to the audience. Did you see that layup from Angel Reese? Wow, sir! This Angel is amazing! Yeah, I noticed your highlight reel of Angel Reese consisted of one made layup, but how come you're not showing us the other 9 layups that she missed? Some are also complaining about Pat McAfee potentially making $60 million a year. These are mainly people who don't understand business. All of these people are losing their jobs, but ESPN's paying Pat McAfee $60 million a year. It's not fair. Yeah, there's no such thing as fair in business. One of the unintended consequences of the WNBA operating as the equity league, they've never been in the position where a star player is bigger than the league. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is bigger than the WNBA, but that is the equivalent of saying that an elephant is larger than the flea biting its ass. But before Caitlin Clark, there was never a pretend basketball player that became bigger than the league itself. Unfortunately for ESPN, they're in a position where they need Pat McAfee more than Pat McAfee needs ESPN. As an employer, as a brand, you never want to be in this position. You never want one of your stars to have more leverage than you do. Michael Jordan, icon of icons, but he never had more leverage than the NBA because there was nowhere else for Michael Jordan to play basketball at the NBA level. If ESPN lost Pat McAfee, they're losing the 18 to 34 demo. They're losing their digital audience, which is what they are paying Pat McAfee for. They're damn sure not paying Pat McAfee for his television audience because it's damn near non-existent. If Pat McAfee left ESPN, he would be fine. He would go to FS1, he could stay on YouTube, and his ratings, they would not be affected. But anyway, sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.